do I look white to you? We are all rightfully concerned about communities like mine that are at serious risk of being undercounted in 2020 census. But something I'm particularly concerned about is the lack of representation on the form of people who look like me. Starting in 2015, a research effort spanned years under the previous administration, led by the Office of Management and Budget, by community organizations like Access and the Arab American Institute and many others, which pushed to add the new category to the 2020 survey called Middle Eastern North African, or what we call MENA. In 2015, Director, the category went into the field for testing, and based on the findings, the Census Bureau recommended the inclusion of MENA category in the 2020 census. Despite these findings, however, the Census Bureau announced under the current administration that MENA category would not be included in the census. Dr. Dillingham, do I look white to you?
Congresswoman, I think that if you tell me what you identify with, and I think I would respect that.
Sure. So, Director, are you aware that people like me who are Arab, Middle Eastern, North African have to indicate that they're white on the U.S. Census?
Congresswoman, we actually have on the, and I understand, you know, that there was a process in deciding, certainly before I got to the census, and there's a history to coming up with the questions and the race and the ethnicity categories, and that OMB...
No, they ignored it.
Director,
but they ignored it. The previous administration decided to put MENA on the form. They ignored it. But do you think if I circled white category, that would be an accurate depiction of my racial and ethnic background?
Congresswoman, we do not second guess what you put down there.
Well,
and we do have a write-in. We do have a write-in.
Director,
people can
you're not giving me an option, because let me tell you, there's a reason why the recommendation happened. Sure. Because would circling white on the census change my lived experience as a person of color in our country, right? Even saying that, you understand there's a difference when you actually have the checkoff box. Because the MENA community, like others, relies on accurate census representation for health research, Director, language assistant, civil rights laws, and reporting educational outcomes. In addition, it would help address things like crime reporting, Director, helping minority business owners get loans, and drawing congressional and state legislative boundaries. So, Director, do you believe it is important to better collect racial and race information from census participants of Middle Eastern and North African descent?
Congresswoman,
do you believe that, though?
I can say that by having the write-in provision, that is the
Sir,
option.
it doesn't have the same impact, and you know that. You know that. Yeah. That's why the community pushed to add the category of MENA, and they did it right. They went through the process, and they got it approved. And this administration decided to ignore them and to make them invisible again, right? That's what you're doing. You're making us invisible. No, the continued absence of this ethnic category contributes to erasing us. Our living, working, we all live and work and raise our families here. I truly believe this issue needs to be addressed, and we need your leadership to push back against this current administration's lack of wanting to see people like me being represented on an official government federal forum that decides around funding, decides how they're going to treat us, how they're going to approach health research, linguist assistance, all those kinds of things. And I mean, you know, Director, we need to get it right, because I'm not white. I'm not. And I don't try to say to others that you should be this or that. Sure. But when I sit on this form and I look at it, I don't see myself represented on this form. And I think that's a huge issue for people like me. Sure. And I need you to do more in pushing back against this current administration, ignoring what the previous administration was able to do. And the U.S. Census Bureau decided to add MENA, and they ignored it.
Congresswoman, I can assure you that we continue to study race and ethnicity and the options for self-reporting that.
Director?
And let me just say that
but we've been studied enough.
We want your views, and we're beginning the process of looking at the 2030 census.
It's too late. It's too late, because for 10 years we will be invisible to health research, to a number of things, small business loans. We will be invisible for another decade in our country. And I think it's wrong. And it was wrong to ignore the efforts of not only the Office of Management and Budget, but organizations like Access AI and others who followed the process, did what they needed to, get public input to making sure that they are seen finally by their own federal government. Thank you, I yield. Dr. Dillingham, do I look white to you?